Al Foran here with Oosh TV, and we're here at the Open Workouts, and I'm here with the legendary Tedley Atlas. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
I just got in from New York on a flight this morning, but no problem. You know, this Arabic coffee over here will wake you up.
Well, we had some at the hotel as well.
good.
It woke me up big time.
It's strong. It'll wake you up. But more important than that is the thing that is so great about here is it's good people here, and that will always revigorate you, being around good people, no matter how tired you are. And then when you get a card like this, that from top to bottom is so special. I mean, you could argue that this might be the greatest card of all time put together.
I think it is.
I mean, there's been a lot of good ones, but there's a lot of people that don't go back far enough to know them. But this one is if it's not the best, it's up there with the best, for two reasons. One, obvious, that you got these champions of this quality that are on the card, but the other reason is that, and each one of them could headline any main event. So
that's what a lot of people have said. They're a main event in
yeah.
themselves.
But the real, for me, and that's obviously a huge part of it, but for me, that every one of maybe the Shakur Stevenson one's a little different now because the kid dropped out and everything else, although the Irish kid's going to give his best. And he's taking a last minute notice, which is always difficult.
Unbelievable. Three days.
Always difficult. But you never know. I mean, he pulled off an upset in his last fight where he was a big underdog with an undefeated kid. But this is a little bit of a different level, obviously. But the thing that makes it even really special card is that each fight you could argue who's going to win. You can make an argument for either guy. So they're competitive fights. They're fights where they're 50-50 fights, or maybe 55, maybe 55-45, whatever.
But which one excites you most, Teddy?
You know what? That's a tough question, but I might throw one that nobody's really going to throw at you because the other ones are more obvious, and maybe people are smarter than me. So maybe their picks are better because they're smarter than me. But I think the Callum Smith-Boazzi fight is very interesting.
Very interesting fight.
It really is, because those guys, there's not a lot to separate them. Both guys are not against engaging you. They'll do that in a minute. And they have ability to use their jab, especially Smith. I would even give Smith a little edge there from a technical. I like both guys, but from a technical standpoint, where he can control the outside, he can use his jab, he can, he shows boxing acumen. But
experience with his resume too.
Yeah, his resume, but at a drop of a hat, he'll go engage you, and of course Boazzi will engage, and they're both good body punchers. Again, both guys are looking to push the envelope. Both guys want to be the boss, and I find it a really interesting fight. And then you got, obviously, Smith. He's lost to two top fighters, Beterbiev and Canelo. Only guys he's lost to, none of to be ashamed of. And the other guy hasn't learned how to lose yet, and that's always interesting. And I think that he'll be tested in this fight probably more than he's ever been tested, and I want to see that. I want to see that. I want to see what does Boazzi have that we haven't seen yet, if there is something. So I find that interesting. And then the Virgil Ortiz-Matrimore fight.
It's a very interesting fight.
That is an interesting fight.
Well, considering Madrimov went the distance with Crawford, and he put up a good fight in that.
Yeah, he was competitive. He was competitive. I mean, he forced Crawford to take a deep breath and go to another gear and win it in those rounds that he had to later in the fight, which is saying a lot when you're talking about a special talent like Crawford, because he is special.
Very special.
And it's a very interesting fight. And I think you might see different aspects of it that you didn't expect. Like with Ortiz, we always expect, fireworks, body shots, knockouts, except he didn't get one in his last fight. But we expect that. I think you might see another side of him that I think we saw a little bit in the last fight. He might need it. His athleticism, his ability to box. Yeah, which nobody was thinking about the last couple of years when he was just going, going right in the trenches, going right to the body and declaring war and winning the war. Now I think he in his first fight that he didn't get the knockout, he learned that he has to be able to depend on other attributes, and he showed that, and he might show that. He might show that right from the beginning in this fight. I'm curious to see that.
Just with Dubois and Parker, there's a lot of hype around that fight. We actually went out to Ballybrack Boxing Club in Dublin where Joseph Parker is training with Andy Lee, and we had a great interview with him.
I love those guys. I mean, look, they make a great team. Andy Lee, he was a world champion. I called his fights in the Olympics when he was fighting violent, when I was doing the Olympics for NBC. Wow. I remember the tall, skinny southpaw that he was. Look, he's a terrific trainer. He's done a good job with Parker. He really has. Look, you got to love Parker. I love both guys. Dubois, you got to give him a lot of credit because Dubois redeemed himself. He found himself in the mental area.
But both fighters really did, didn't they? They redeemed themselves.
Dubois redeemed himself in a way that Parker had never been down that road, and which is speaking well of Parker when I say it. What road am I talking about? The road where he fell apart mentally and he gave in. Dubois had happened to him in 2 fights. I know he got the broken orbital bone. I get all that, in the Joyce fight. And then, of course, there was the controversy with the blow and all that with the Usyk. But still, at the end of the day, he broke down. He mentally broke down. He gave in, which fighters aren't supposed to do. And then what did he do? He came back and redeemed himself.
In quite an emphatic way as well.
But before the Dubois fight, before the Joshua fight, before in those couple fights leading up, he had to do it. He had to find himself. He had to show. I said before one of those fights, I said, you people aren't getting it, what this is about. He would fight for free. People were like, what are you talking about, Teddy? He's fighting for a purse. I said, he would fight for free because now he is fighting for his manhood. Now he's fighting for who he is. Now he's fighting for something a lot more than a win in a column, in another LOW in a column, or a purse. He's fighting with the right to look in the mirror in the morning and like what's looking back at him. He's fighting for that.
Absolutely.
He's fighting for the redemption of who he is as a man when he walks down the street, how he feels about himself. And God, he showed it. He walked through fire to show it in those fights, and he behaved like a champion, and then he wound up winning the championship. So when a guy finds himself like that guy's dangerous. And we already know he's a puncher, and he's young, but Park has all that experience. We know how game he is. We know that he's got a trainer who will give him the right strategy. He's going to need, for this fight, I think it's a very dangerous fight for Joseph. In this way, you could say it's dangerous for both guys, but Dubois is really a big banger. And as I said, he's found himself, and he's young. I think that Parker needs every bit of that experience. They have to have a strategy, which I know they will, and they have to execute it in a very disciplined manner and almost perfect. I just don't think there's margin for error in this fight for Parker. He can win it. But he's got to fight as close to a perfect fight as possible.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Teddy. Oosh, Teddy Atlas. Amazing insight into this amazing boxing card on Saturday. That was fantastic. I love that interview.